Today, we're going to explore the idea of the eternal escrow, which is one of the most misinterpreted and possibly revolutionary stories around XRP. Technology and, market speculation aren't the only aspects of this problem. In fact, it discusses blockchain code contracts and the basic economics that support the whole XRP ecosystem. This story revolves around a court file from Ripple's case, which contains wording so complex and sophisticated that it has been misunderstood or, to be honest, completely disregarded. The information in this document contradicts the widely held notion that Ripple can or will use its escrow assets to flood the market with XRP. Rather, it exposes something much more potent, a legally binding, irrevocable method that makes XRP kept in escrow automatically relock indefinitely, putting almost 99% of the whole stock in permanent storage. We must begin by going over the fundamentals of Ripple's escrow system in order to fully comprehend this. In order to guarantee that they could only release a set amount, 1 billion XRP per month, over a 55-month period, Ripple put 55 billion XRP into escrow contracts back in 2017. This was intended to allay concerns about the abrupt release of XRP onto the market by establishing predictability and transparency. The escrow mechanism is not a one-way release valve, though, as many individuals are unaware. Instead, fresh escrow contracts are used to hold XRP that Ripple does not use each month. Because of this escrow recycling, the monthly rise in the circulating supply is not just 1 billion XRP. Most of those tokens are instantly locked back away, limiting inflation by establishing a supply loop. This mechanism is extremely important. The real amount of XRP in circulation is far less than what is frequently stated, even if the nominal total supply is approximately 100 billion tokens. It might be as few as 8 to 10 billion tokens, according to certain estimations. Since scarcity drives value in any asset, this difference between total supply and genuine circulating supply is crucial. Furthermore, the scarcity of XRP is truly astounding when you take into account this permanent escrow relocking. However, a court document that was made as part of its continuing case with the SEC is what really changed the game. There is a phrase buried deep in the document that has, to be honest, been ignored. Words outlining the escrow's legally binding commitments and irrevocable relocking processes. These terms attest to the fact that the escrow contracts are legally binding agreements that mandate Ripple immediately relock unused XRP back into escrow, rather than merely being smart contracts. This isn't wishful thinking or conjecture. Ripple is required by law to adhere to this enforceable condition. The supply narrative is dramatically altered by this discovery. The community has been afraid about inflation brought on by Ripple's dumping of escrow XRP for years. We can now observe that the system is configured to permanently avoid that situation. The inference? By design and by law, Ripple's power to raise supply beyond the monthly release has been nullified, and the circulating supply of XRP is functionally capped and permanently constrained. Investors, XRP holders, and the larger crypto community must all comprehend this legal and technical foundation. It is mainly unjustified to fear that the steady stream of fresh XRP tokens will cause values to plummet. Rather, the scarcity profile of XRP starts to resemble that of a rare asset, conceptually comparable to the capped supply of Bitcoin, but with the extra twist of an even more restricted liquid supply. Now think about the economic and psychological effects of this scarcity. Because scarcity generates demand, investors value it more than virtually anything else. The demand for the restricted number of liquid XRP increases when people understand that tokens that are not in circulation are essentially locked away forever. As investors scramble to obtain what is effectively a limited supply, this could result in a sharp increase in price. Furthermore, the psychological effect of understanding that Ripple cannot overtake the market fosters confidence and trust, eliminating a significant uncertainty that has prevented many investors from participating. The macroeconomic environment is an additional factor in this. XRP is a strong contender for institutional adoption and incorporation with digital currencies issued by central banks, cross-border payments, and other systems due to its usefulness as a quick, scalable, and inexpensive settlement layer. Institutions and banks will compete for a small pool of tokens to settle trillions of dollars in value if the circulating supply is indeed constrained. There will undoubtedly be a large price increase as a result of this imbalance between supply and demand. It's also important to keep in mind that Ripple's legal team has stated that they intend to make this escrow clause public. In an effort to dispel the myths that have long tainted XRP's tokenomics, the attorneys who created this legally binding, programmable escrow design are willing to educate the public on how this continuous locking operates. This announcement might be a turning point that causes XRP's value to be fundamentally reassessed. Similar stories have historically caused price increases in other markets. Bitcoin's price soared after its fixed supply was widely recognized and understood. In this situation, XRP makes a comparable but stronger argument. Due to legal contracts and blockchain programming, the great bulk of supply is permanently locked away. Once this fact is publicly acknowledged, the market will probably react quickly. What does this actually mean for holders of XRP today? It indicates that the amount of XRP you possess is far less than you initially believed. Compared to headline supply estimates, your holdings make up a higher portion of the truly liquid market. As a result, XRP becomes a valuable asset with significant long-term potential rather than a speculative coin. To be honest, this realization might hold the secret to comprehending XRP's upcoming bull market and its ability to reach prices that many have only imagined. We should also talk about the wider ramifications for institutional adoption and the crypto industry. Compliant and predictable cryptocurrencies are preferred by governments and authorities. For institutional participants, the XRP is a safe and compliant option because to its escrow mechanism, which is supported by legally binding agreements that guarantee a capped, circulating supply. You are aware that this type of legal support and clarity could hasten adoption and distinguish XRP from other digital assets that lack similar assurances. Lastly, the endgame scenario must be taken into account. The value of XRP might be completely recalculated if its scarcity is adequately safeguarded, and if Ripple's technology keeps gaining acceptance as the foundation of international payments. Disclaimer. Please keep in mind that I do not hold a financial advisor license. These videos' content is solely intended for viewing enjoyment. Before making any financial decisions, I always advise viewers to do their own research and speak with experts. Many thanks for listening. Please remember to hit the subscribe button and give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. Additionally, to be the first to know when I post new stuff, make sure you enable the alerts. I can't wait to see you again in the next video. Be careful.